What's up everybody, Matt here and welcome back to Gran Turismo 6 gameplay Road to 10th Anniversary. This is the third part of the underrated Henry Stickmin collection. Happy 10th Anniversary Gran Turismo 6, because it's been 10 years this game has released. Okay? I mean, this game was released 10 years, 2013, okay? Okay, before drive to the circuit, this car, driven by Joanne Scone as seen on Clean Them Out. Okay, before that, I'm gonna explain about how a lack of clear communication can affect your life, and there are some ways to improve it. Okay, in the last video, I explained about encouraging, not the explanation, but how to encourage people's how to encourage people who's having a bad day. And I told about this with the Bible verse, and this time it's different. Okay, how a lack of clear communication can affect your life, and there are some ways to improve it. How many are there? Okay, communication is essential to all relationships, but a lack of effective communication could leave you unsure of where you stand. So here's what to do next. Learning to communicate clearly and consistently with others is an essential tool for developing healthy relationships. If you're able to communicate well, you may find that the relationships you have with your partner, friends, family, colleagues, and acquaintances are easy and have less conflict. Communication can be verbal or non-verbal. By crossing your arms and rolling your eyes during a conversation, or nodding your head and leaning in toward the person speaking, you can convey a lot of meaning without words. Body language is a vital aspect of communication that can display your emotions and subtext of your words without having to say it all out loud. But if you find yourself in a relationship where clear and reassuring communication is insufficient, you may feel confused, lonely, or left with mixed signals because you don't know how the other person is feeling. This lack of productive communication can also take a toll on your mental health over time. But everyone with a little practice can learn to communicate better and make their relationship stronger. The meaning of lack of communication typically occurs when someone experiences challenges with effectively communicating their needs and expectations. If you have a difficult time communicating, you may find yourself not getting your needs met at work, with your family or friends, in romantic relationships. You may also feel anxious, insecure, and lonely. Challenges with communication can make it difficult to maintain relationships or leaving you feeling uncertain about where you stand in a relationship. Ineffective communication can lead to many misunderstandings or disagreements too. This can include making mistakes or completing tasks incorrectly, having your feelings hurt, cause arguments, or distancing yourself from others. If these or other communication issues occur frequently, it may have a negative impact on your relationship. Ineffective communication in the workplace can also cause your work to suffer. If your manager neglects to give you feedback, positive or negative, it can be difficult to improve your performance. So, the examples. Communication patterns that your partner's family may have taught them can influence your relationship with them too. If they often fall back into those learned patterns of poor communication, it may cause risk in your relationship with them. For example, maybe your partner grew up in a family that didn't communicate effectively, but instead regularly communicated through yelling and shouting at each other. This, in turn, may cause them to shut down when attempting to convey their needs because they were criticized or yelled and they had previously tried. Sorry, I said it wrong. Poor communication can also affect you beyond just your relationships with friends or family. It can also present challenges at work And effective communication among coworkers can also affect your job performance and your team's ability to reach goals. Imagine this. This one different example. Perhaps your supervisor doesn't clearly communicate what is expected from you during the workday, which could leave you wondering what they really want from you. This failure to communicate clear expectations could lower your morale or cause you to get in trouble for not meeting unclear expectations. But situations like this aren't strictly one-sided, and constructive communication will rely on your input as well. If you don't communicate to your supervisor that you're unclear about their expectations, they won't know that you're having trouble meeting your goals and might even assume that your silence means that you understand the assignment. In both of these examples, risks in communication can cause negative outcomes between you and another person and thus impact your relationship. These signs of poor communication include passive listening instead of active listening, shutting down, letting things bottle up inside until you explode in anger or sadness, yelling or screaming, becoming physically or verbally abusive, dismissing other people's points of view, demonstrating passive-aggressive behavior, not being clear about expectations, needs, or wants, giving the silent treatment, and interrupting. Question is lack of communication a deal breaker? Actually, it doesn't have to be a deal breaker, as long as both people are committed to learning and practicing better communication skills. It's a two-way street, and repairing communication works best when all people involved share the responsibility of making it work. By practicing, giving feedback, and seeking out help, anyone's communication skills can improve. However, if someone continually crosses your boundaries or frequently degrades or verbally abuses you, it might indicate an unhealthy relationship, and you may benefit from re-evaluating that person's role in your life. Okay, how to improve the communication? For this one, it is an ongoing process, and like most learned skills, the more time and practice you put into it, the more improvements you'll see. There are many techniques that you can learn and practice in your everyday conversations to create more opportunities for positive interactions. Using I statements. It helps you put your feelings into words and explain how you're specifically affected by another person's behavior. Because you're intentionally focusing on yourself, you aren't attributing negative actions and placing blame on the other person. This can help prevent a defensive reaction because the other person is less likely to feel attacked or blamed. Once you communicate how you're impacted by the behavior, you can then start to describe what changes you would like to see to resolve the conflict. Set clear boundaries. In any relationship, it is very important so that there is no misunderstanding about when those lines are crossed or what topics are off limits. If boundaries aren't clearly communicated, people may be unaware that they have gone too far. For example, like this: Mom, I don't like it when you shout at me over the phone. I'm not okay with shouting, and I don't want to have our future conversations including shouting. So, this person is clearly communicating a boundary, that they are not okay with yelling, and stating their expectations for future conversations. Take a timeout if necessary. There are certain times, especially during a heated discussion, that it might be necessary to take a break so that you can calm down, collecting your thoughts, and return to discussion with a clearer mindset. Even a brief pause can help prevent a further communication breakdown. If you find yourself in a heated argument, overcome with anxiety, or very upset, it might indicate that you need to take a time out. Taking some space for yourself doesn't mean that you're avoiding the issue at hand, but rather helping to make sure you can return and communicate your ideas clearly. In fact, it can be an effective technique when tensions are running high because it gives everyone the chance to cool it off. Practice active listening. Active listening is when you listen closely to what someone is saying with the intention of understanding and responding to what they've shared. If you're only listening just to share your perspective, or if you find yourself tuning out, chances are that you are practicing active listening. To practice active listening, give the speaker your full attention. Avoid interrupting. Avoid jumping to conclusion. Reflect back what you hear the person saying. Be aware of your body language. Make eye contact. And don't judge or shame the speaker. People who communicate well are able to clearly express themselves and their needs and understand the expectations that others have set for them. But this isn't a skill that always comes naturally, and it can take time and practice to truly master. If you face challenges with your communication skills or feel that there's a lack of strong communication in your personal relationships, consider talking with the other person about your concerns and commit to finding new techniques that can make you both better communicators and listeners. However, if you feel too overwhelmed and anxious about exploring how to improve your communication, it may be helpful to consider talking with a therapist or a trusted friend. They can help you identify challenges and offer suggestions to improve your communication skills. Remember, poor communication doesn't have to signal the end of a relationship or that it has failed. Instead, it can be used as an opportunity to practice and improve. Okay, so hope you guys understand what the time you have lack of communication, and this is the way to improve yourself. Okay, helping hand. Okay, helping hands is important. If you have that kind of thing, your friends are here for you to help. Okay, don't just being quiet. Okay, being quiet will never solve anything. Okay, write that down, guys. Being quiet will never solve anything when you are having lack of communication. Okay.